This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hi, I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. Millions of people rely on our protein bars and hydration mixes to win their day. Turns out Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry, is one of them. We've teamed up with Chef Keller to craft a bar and hydration mix that marry world-class flavor with exceptional nutrition. Our special edition salted caramel chip bar delivers all the decadence of a fine dining dessert plus protein minus sugar and carbs. And our zero sugar yuzu mango hydration mix packs an authentic citrusy punch and a mental boost from lion's mane and magnesium. The best part? 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Total no-brainer.
Go to IQBar.com today and enter promo code KELLER20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's IQBAR.com, promo code KELLER20.
I was going to say, sounded like a female, but I wasn't sure if it was you or not. Or Chris just got a check change. So I thought I have done as much research as possible on the whole tipping subject. It's not a state law. It's actually a federal law. So supposedly, if you have any type of supervisory duties while you're on duty over another employee, you're not allowed to accept tips. I've had it, and before I go any further with what is alleged, I do not consent for the NSA to or any other being or government being to use this as evidence in any type of.
Yeah, because that's how that works.
Well, just saying.
Can't confess to murder now, Skippy, and it's okay.
No. For me, if I'm working, I'm doing something as far as putting shit together or running food or run the cash register or whatever. I have always accepted tips because at the end of the day, I'm an owner operator and I don't pay myself a living wage. I pay everybody else a living wage.
Okay.
So I thought it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few gray areas, but realistically, I found out it's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after I asked you, of course, I went to other people and asked them. I would love a consensus on what food truck operators do or do not do this. The gray area is if you're doing something that, let's say you're waiting on a table and you're the owner and they leave a cash tip or a credit card tip or whatever, you can use that, or that's your tip. You can take that. But an owner or somebody with supervisor duties cannot be part of a tip pool.
Correct.
So because of the fact that
if you're working the register all day long, you are
Correct.
allowed, because that is a tipped position, so you're allowed to accept tips that day. And you can set that up in Square. So if you're punching in and out,
I have
to do different roles, so you have different roles set up for yourself?
I do not. I did not have. Well, yes, I do, but I'm doing the same role over.
So yeah, you can set yourself up for different roles, and each roles are tip eligible. So if you're just doing scheduling for the day or whatever, and if you're clocking in and out your time, even though I don't know how you pay yourself or whatever, but so like when you're doing scheduling, you're still on labor, but you're not accepting tips because that's not a tipped position.
So like my guy who strictly works the kitchen, he comes in at 5 a.m. every morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do not have him as tip eligible. So he doesn't.
Well, there wouldn't be any tips. Do you do a full day pool, or do you do just they split whatever hours they're working?
Correct.
If there's tips, yeah. So there's not tipped any sales during those hours he's working anyways, really, is there?
Correct. But if I would switch his role to something different if he was working during different times.
Okay. But he knows he's not a tipped employee.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He also gets paid more because he's not a tipped employee.
Okay.
So the reason I thought it was okay, and I still think it's okay, is because I'm doing something that involves touching every order, whether it be or taking cash and then running tables, or making the food and giving it to the staff. There's nothing in any law that, like, it's all about call it typical servers. Like, you're at a, you're a server and you're doing something, and they say whether you pay your servers a livable wage or not, which is above minimum, you can't participate in because you have supervisory ability.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so bar managers who wait, who run tables, or expo or stuff like that, I don't understand how they don't. Or, like, give an example, local pizzeria over here does a tip share,
Mm-hmm.
where they take a whole day worth of tips and split it between anybody worked, including kitchen staff.
But also keep in mind that kitchen staff don't get as big of a share as wait staff.
Correct. Yes, that part I get.
So, and in most instances, kitchen staff don't get tipped at all.
So I posted that question on the food truck training group in in Facebook. Mr. Moore did not allow any comments and just commented himself that it's illegal. And so I'm looking to our listenership on what they do. I thought about changing it to a bonus structure. So instead of accepting tips altogether, the customer can opt to do a team bonus. But I can't. There's no way in Square that I have found where I can make that a prompt without having to ask them.
Right.
So I don't know. That's the reason I guess I'm bringing it up is I've really come into know that my landlord's an absolute asshole, and it's like, I personally think that if whatever he thinks is not right, even though I pay rent, he would still try to turn me in. So there's nothing in the laws about counter service restaurants, or it actually says if you're working a food truck, you can accept tips because there's typically only one or two people there. Obviously, if I'm working by myself, I can, because I'm doing everything. And it's not that I need the tips. I'm not saying that. But either I feel whoever's working the kitchen is doing probably more work than whoever's running the register. If I don't, if I'm running the register, I'll probably give tips to the whole kitchen staff. It doesn't matter. But go ahead, get the hate comments.
Jason said, all kidding aside, though, both great numbers. He also had a record May, just over 42. Took the last week of May off.
Woo.
No one's commented on tips. Do I help in the tip acquisition with the service that I give? Absolutely. Okay. My pay is not a tip position. I am an owner. It's not a tip position of anything. You're there to fill a need and to help. That's your job.
Mm-hmm.
Your compensation shouldn't come.
You can say it. I know you're snarking. I know.
I'm just trying to choose my words. I'm not snarking. I am pro tip. I think that I'm fine with tip culture. I have no problem with it. I think that as a whole, it's gotten a little out of control with the expectation and that it's required to begin with. And from an employer standpoint, that has become a way for your patrons of your establishment to help pay your employees, which I don't agree with. I disagree with the minimum tipped wage being different than the minimum wage. I think that's stupid. So I don't think owners should get tips. I don't think managers should get tips. I don't think anybody that has their hands in the pot to determine how things get split up should be allowed to have access to said tips. Yes?
Doesn't Chris have a piece of the pot?
Yes. A minority piece that doesn't count for and he already knows that once he hits a certain level that goes away. Legally.
For sure.
I mean,
whatever level that is, the amount that he may or may not
hold on.
Sorry.
That's like you buying stock in Applebee's as a waitress.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hi, I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. Millions of people rely on our protein bars and hydration mixes to win their day. Turns out Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry, is one of them. We've teamed up with Chef Keller to craft a bar and hydration mix that marry world-class flavor with exceptional nutrition. Our special edition salted caramel chip bar delivers all the decadence of a fine dining dessert plus protein minus sugar and carbs. And our zero sugar yuzu mango hydration mix packs an authentic citrusy punch and a mental boost from lion's mane and magnesium. The best part? 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Total no-brainer.
Go to IQBar.com today and enter promo code Keller20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's IQBAR.com, promo code Keller20.
And then removing yourself from being tip eligible. It's the same thing. Technically, you're an owner of Applebee's stock, which puts you as an owner's share, right? But there's levels to that.
So when you're not on the truck,
So he's not a supervisor role. He's a food truck lead. Does he have access to be able to do refunds and stuff? So does Caleb.
but when you're not on the truck, is he in charge? Is there anybody in charge?
There's always somebody in charge.
So if there's a customer complaint, who takes care of it? Would it go to Chris or would it go to whoever's at the window?
Whoever's at the window. My staff have full capabilities to handle whatever anybody brings up to the window. Like if Felicia was on the trailer by herself and someone came up and complained, we don't just shut down operations because we don't know what to do.
No. Oh no,
she has the ability to make those. She would have had those abilities to make those decisions on how to take care of it.
So if you guys are slow and could Chris send Caleb home early to cut labor hours?
I mean, yeah, we've done it before.
Wouldn't that be considered supervisory?
But Caleb can do the same thing with somebody else. Or somebody else,
Okay.
And that's usually comes to me first.
Yeah.
Because we have hours that, people need hours regardless if it's busy or not. So, yeah. And there's plenty to do.
There's always something to do.
Always something to do. Jason says, if it is more than just me on an event, for instance, a food truck event that we are new at, I do not include myself in tips. I will ask the crew if they want to include me if it is super crazy, but I usually just split it up amongst the others and don't include myself. I will go back and divide the credit card tips later on. So,
Square, by the way, does a really good job at recording all that sort of stuff.
Yes, they do. It makes it really, really nice and easy. So, I
did have to institute a change on the Square time clock, though, that you have to be within 500 feet of the location to punch in or out.
You're getting some people punching in early, huh?
I have before.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a topic for another day too. It's just more of.
No, I mean,
I understand what you're saying.
There's difference between having a supervisory role and being a part of management, and that's what the law is there for. So you don't have restaurant managers taking tip shares. You got to think laws aren't made for ones and twos. They have to make laws for the overall public, right? Mm-hmm. It's the restaurants that had, not necessarily bar managers, but restaurant managers, front of house managers that were taking a tip share, unrightfully so. You had restaurant owners that were never in a restaurant that were taking a tip share, because they felt entitled to it, because it's their hard work that has presented this opportunity for everybody else.
True.
Without my scheduling, they don't get any tips, right? So why shouldn't I get a tip share? Without me, none of this is here. Don't I deserve my share? Yes, you do. It's called owner's compensation. And if what you are making from the business isn't enough to satisfy whatever needs or wants you have, then you need to make a change in how you do business or get out of the business to do something more lucrative.
But that's the part that I don't necessarily agree with. It's not about the need for tips. It's just about.
You think you're entitled to it because of the work that you do. You're just as entitled to it as anybody else working because you're doing the same, if not more work than other people getting tipped. Yes?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
But you have access to greater compensation. Don't pay yourself more than $4 an hour then. When you're doing your owners, you make $4 an hour.
Yes.
But you understand what I'm saying. I am still one of the lowest paid employees that I have working for me. Thank God Alex is here because she's below me. But on a month-to-month basis, what I give myself as distribution pre-tax is less than what Caleb and Chris make post-tax. And Felicia was close.
So
but you know what?
I pay myself $1,800 a month.
Okay.
Because that pays the mortgage payment.
All right.
So that's less than for the amount of hours worked. I mean,
I understand what you're saying. Yes, I get what you're saying. That yes, you are technically making less than $4 an hour.
Damn.
But you're not because you got to figure in it overtime.
I'm salaried. Actually,
they're
going to change that. Well,
they're going to change what?
They're changing overtime rules.
Yeah, whatever. But are you even supposed to be on payroll? You're not on payroll
because I'm a sole proprietor at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So technically, you're not even on payroll. So you're not salaried. You get an owner distribution.
So if I was on payroll, would I be considered an employee at that point?
Yeah, you have to really change the structure of your business. But
yeah, I know. That's what I thought about doing this year with the technical second look.
But you still wouldn't be a tip eligible employee. I mean, you got like the board of Applebee's is getting tips.
No,
there's a national pool of tips from Applebee's. That
first of all, that's way. I'm trying to figure. Here's what I'm thinking:
size doesn't matter, and that's what you got to think about. Size doesn't matter. Size of the business doesn't matter. The same rules apply to all the businesses.
So, if a manager's on the line at Chipotle, do you think they get tips? Because they ask for them at the end.
Well, I tell people that tips are an option too, and when I'm running the register, I do that for my staff, not for me.
No, I think you and I are in a different spot because you're not on the truck as regular, or you're not working on everything.
I would have said that. I would have said the same thing last year. My two goals are make as many people happy through food as I can, and make as much money for my staff as I can.
Okay. It's hard for me. Here's the thing: it's hard for me to justify if for some reason people are being extra generous and we get $1,000 in tips in a week for me to give it to two people that don't have, let's say, are running the register, and that's it. Not much of anything else other than just making sure the dining room's clean. It's not. It's less than even a waitress would do. So do I just say, hey, we'll just do a full team bonus and that's what you get? Or saying, hey, I got to do away with tips because everybody's not being tipped the same amount, or not the same amount, the same way.
They are, though. You're tipped for the hours you work. If you happen to get lucky and you had run it, Chris made $400 in tips on Saturday. Those two love working with me alone. But yeah, it was a $400 tip day. Caleb had one earlier in the week.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times, though, when
the truck is Caleb only running the register. Is he not doing anything else?
Well, I don't expect anybody just to run the register, but yes. He's running the register. They're
packaging. They're doing a whole bunch of other stuff.
Packaging? What are they packaging?
Well, like putting bags and send it out.
Yes, they put the things in the bags. Yes.
Getting drinks, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm having probably more of a hard time explaining things than
No, I think you're fine. I get that. I understand that you are doing more than the rest of your staff, and you're supposed to. That's your job.
Yes. Okay.
You should be compensated accordingly. And that is what needs to be done on the back end, not on the front end. Tips are never expected. They shouldn't be expected. They're addition to what they should be used for good service. So if your staff is providing good service and good food, then yes. As a kitchen person, why would you even get tips on a food truck? These people are tipping before they even get their food.
Oh, for sure.
So all tips should just go to whoever's working the register, because they're the ones that are earning it.
I mean,
right?
Yeah. It's absolutely reality.
So yeah, when you're back there in the kitchen, why would you ever get a tip making the food?
True that. Why would you?
See? So, but all of my staff pretty much handle all aspects. Everybody's interacting with customers on our truck.
Yeah. And everybody's most people are, most of our staff, whether you're working the back or not, you're still running food to tables. You're still doing whatever it takes.
More from Jason. Skippy, pay yourself more and don't take tips, maybe. And then he says, is this issue more of the fact that you don't want to have to split 400 to 2 employees that suck?
No, honestly, it's just a justification for what they do. So maybe I need to make them do more. I mean, that could be true too. Maybe it's probably my fault that I'm not having them do enough. And for whatever they are doing, I don't. My other problem is probably I pay everybody the same freaking amount because I expect them to do the same things. And do I think somebody at the register is doing the same as somebody that's putting food together? No. Mm-hmm. Maybe they need to change. I don't know.
And so I had a similar conversation with Chris.
Clearly defined roles, probably.
What is the I'm missing the word. Where is the expectation stated for these people? How do they know? How do they know what they're supposed to do when there's nothing to do? You and I know because we've been on this truck for 6 years, and I've yelled at you enough through the first 2 years. It's just natural for us that we can see all the things that are filthy dirty on the truck.
Sure.
But somebody else walks into the truck and they say, "Oh my gosh, it's such a clean truck." Well, they're basing that on all the other trucks they've seen that are assholes, But you and I can see, there's splatters up there on the filters for the hood. Like they're filthy, they're dusty. You put your hand up here, oh my God, it's gross.
Yeah.
But especially for someone coming in that's been with you only this year, and you don't know all the things that are in the cafe, like you have to go through and make a list. Are all these things awesome to do? No. But when they're done every day, are they hard to do? No. Cleaning the legs on chairs takes, for all the chairs that are in your place, if you do them every day, it takes 10 minutes. But should your people expect clean chairs when they come in? Absolutely. Including the legs? Absolutely. Make lists. Here's what needs to be done every day. Here's what needs to be done when we're not super busy and we just have 10 minutes to stand around. But if you don't set those expectations, then they don't know.
And those are the things that I need to go over with the cafe side of things to figure out when they do things.
Yeah.
Because, it's both of our dining rooms.
Yeah.
I don't know when things have been done because I don't know their lists.
It's not unreasonable for your cashier to walk back into the kitchen and grab a broom and sweep through the kitchen.
Sure. Absolutely. There's going to be, now that we're talking through that.
So instead of you being passive aggressive, and I'm not saying this against you because I used to do the same thing, just grabbing a bucket and angrily going out and wiping something down because you've been looking at it for 15 minutes waiting for somebody else to see what you see. And they don't. And you're like, fuck, I'll just get my shower. And then you glare at them as you walk back at them. Why am I giving you any tips at all? Like, if they don't know, and you can't expect them just to know. That's the part. You can't just expect people to know and to have as much desire to do these things as you do because it's not theirs.
Sure.
No one's going to care as much as you do.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hi, I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. Millions of people rely on our protein bars and hydration mixes to win their day. Turns out Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry, is one of them. We've teamed up with Chef Keller to craft a bar and hydration mix that marry world-class flavor with exceptional nutrition. Our special edition salted caramel chip bar delivers all the decadence of a fine dining dessert plus protein minus sugar and carbs. And our zero sugar yuzu mango hydration mix packs an authentic citrusy punch and a mental boost from lion's mane and magnesium. The best part? 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Total no-brainer.
Go to IQBar.com today and enter promo code Keller20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's IQBAR.com, promo code Keller20.
No, and that's, I need to work on more clearly defined roles. I'll take myself out of tips. That's fine. I have no problems with that.
Yeah.
It's just more of.
It's the right thing to do as an owner because you have access to the other compensations that everybody else doesn't. That's your bonus.
I want everybody to be successful.
So, okay, tips are a sign of happy customers, right?
True.
So the crew benefits from happy customers, right?
Absolutely.
With tips, you benefit from happy customers in sales and repeat customers.
For sure.
That's your tip.
Yep.
So.
Very much so.
I hope that all makes sense.
It does.
Hello, Matt. I'm well, thank you.
Look at that. Look at that view.
Yeah, baby.
No wonder Josh has a smile on his face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's that.
Is Angie out of the basement yet?
Out of the basement?
Yeah.
Why would she be out of the basement? That's where her office is.
I know. You locked her in the basement.
I did not lock her in the basement. This space is not big enough for two people. Because I have too much stuff.
So as I was leaving for the grad party on Saturday, I've already talked about my owner of the cafe struggles with communication. So he kind of accosts me as I'm trying to leave on time. Luckily, it was close by. So anyway,
he accosted you?
I couldn't leave. Let's put it that way. So
Okay.
one thing we talked about was tips. He's like, I need you to be legal. That's why I thought he would totally turn me in.
Okay, so that's what prompted the whole conversation. Okay, gotcha.
Um,
Trust me, it's much better that he mentions it versus an employee mentions it.
So then he says, he's like, I need you to follow your own SOPs. I said, what are you referring to? So I guess, and I find this out, and I hate to say this happened, and I really don't hope my customers listen to this. He said that he got a call, the owner got a call from his girls, cafe girls, that my guy had left a pan of something on the cart outside in front of the smoker for about an hour. I didn't know because nobody told me, and this happened Wednesday, and nobody told me until Saturday afternoon at 1:00. And that person was him. And I said, well, why didn't somebody, I mean, y'all have my number. Why didn't somebody say anything to me? Like, what's going on? Like, so the struggle is the owner is a very non-trusting person. So he's got cameras galore. We've talked about the cameras. The resolution on these is, like I said, if you pick a booger, he can tell you how big it is. But how would you work with your landlord to, because now I'm having my employees like not complain, but bring up legit reactions to the possibility that he may just be home looking at his cameras all day. And
that's his right. That's his right as the owner of the building, though.
How do I make them feel comfortable with it?
Don't be doing anything you shouldn't be doing.
All right.
What are you doing that you're worried about him seeing on camera? Would be my question.
I don't think it's about worried. I think it's just about creepiness, maybe.
It's a business. Almost every business has cameras in their business.
If it were my cameras, okay, I think people would understand, but they're not.
It doesn't. He's the building owner. That's all that matters. It's his building. He has the right to be able to monitor his building. And if he has cameras that are pointed towards your smoker, then I would be asking for the footage from that day.
Yeah.
So you can see what happened. It could be a pan of crap that he left out there and just forgot about. You know? Who's to say it was like a pan of pork? Like, oh, he's got 2 pork butts just sitting out there next to the smoker that he pulled off and forgot about.
So I know what it was, and it definitely was meat that was outside for an hour, and then was put on the smoker afterwards when he remembered what was out there. So here's the text that I got yesterday from the employee that I told about, or that it happened to. He said, I've been thinking about this today. I'm taking 24 hours more to really ponder this situation. I have no problem admitting my mistakes or taking responsibility. Should I have known better should I have known better? Absolutely. And I should have said something. I don't particularly cared for being spied on and tattled on. We know that kind of that's the kind of stuff that the landlord's into. However, looking for and making confrontation. If he's going to continue to do so, I'm not interested in being a part of it. I'm going to have to think hard and whether I want to enter his building again.
Okay.
Well, I basically responded and said it actually wasn't him; it was one of the girls. My thought about this whole thing is, if he knew about it, why didn't he tell me?
If who knew about it?
If
The
the owner
employee?
knew about it,
Oh,
the day it
yeah.
happened. If the owner knew about it on the day it happened, why am I just now hearing about it Saturday
Yep.
afternoon?
You can't
I'm
fix it
having
if you don't know there's a problem.
I'm having a rather large issue with communication with him. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. It's doing building changes that affect me. Doing just going to the village and complaining about NASCAR flags because you got pissy that they asked you to take down your flag because it was too tall. Like tit for tat bullshit that he's not even allowed to go in the village office anymore. His wife has to. But it's the tit for tat thing that is really starting to bother me because I don't know how to get it through to him. Because if he's so worried about me, quote unquote, being legal, I mean, if somebody gets sick, it's not both of our asses, but he's going to feel the wrath of it just as much as I would because people are going to have a negative connotation about the whole building, not just mine. And it's like, why don't I hear? Why don't I hear?
Well, so here's what my other thought was on this whole you being legal as far as tips go, because you guys share an employee, right?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. I wonder if they had mentioned something to her or him about you taking tips or whatever.
She did.
Oh.
She did. She absolutely did because the thing is he doesn't.
He wouldn't know otherwise.
I told him in the very beginning that I don't pay like he does. Okay, this is how I do it. Are you okay with that? And she absolutely said she was fine with it. Come to find out, she wasn't. It is what it is. She doesn't work for me anymore, and it's not because of that. It's because of other things too. But I'm not mixing those relationships anymore because at the end of the day, it's just not worth it.
Jason says it's no worse than your employees holding their cell phones. They are always watching. When you signed the lease, you knew you were signing up for this, as in cameras and security cameras and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
cameras. They don't bother me.
I understand. There's not cameras in your kitchen, is there?
No.
Okay. It's only in common areas or shared areas, right?
There's a camera. Yes, there's a camera that points straight down the hallway to my kitchen. So if I leave the door open, he could see a doorway. This door right here. Here. Yeah. There.
Yeah.
So there's a camera pointing to that door.
Okay.
So if I
would have one there too. I would have one there too, because that goes into the cafe. That goes into the cafe area.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So absolutely. And from a guy who did security and did cameras and a couple buildings, absolutely. Every entrance into your space is covered, so you know who comes in.
That one was just put in because we had an issue that since it's two buildings put together, there's two thermostats, two air conditioners, two furnaces, whatever. And
somebody changing stuff?
I was.
Yeah.
Because it was 80 degrees back here.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed the thermostat said 77.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hi, I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. Millions of people rely on our protein bars and hydration mixes to win their day. Turns out Thomas Keller, Michelin star chef of the French Laundry, is one of them. We've teamed up with Chef Keller to craft a bar and hydration mix that marry world-class flavor with exceptional nutrition. Our special edition salted caramel chip bar delivers all the decadence of a fine dining dessert plus protein minus sugar and carbs. And our zero sugar yuzu mango hydration mix packs an authentic citrusy punch and a mental boost from lion's mane and magnesium. The best part? 10% of sales go directly to Chef Keller's nonprofit that supports aspiring young chefs. Great taste, great nutrition, great mission. Total no-brainer.
Go to IQBar.com today and enter promo code Keller20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. That's IQBAR.com, promo code Keller20.
So I changed it. I didn't realize that once you change it, the program that it's automatically on goes away. So he puts a cage over it so nobody can touch it. And so I ask him, is there anything that you want to tell me? Because I've just said, hey, if you do anything, just tell me about it. So I can give a heads up. So I'm asking him, is there anything you want to tell me about this? Well, if you're talking about the thermostat, just have the balls to ask me the question. I'm like, I shouldn't have to. It's a change to your building that affects me because that affects my area. Because none of your employees is going to turn it down because there's nothing back there. So if anybody's turning it down, it's absolutely me. All you have to do is ask. We could talk about it and figure out what needs to happen and what doesn't. Not you, just you doing that. I pay half the electric bill as it is. If I want to have the freaking air conditioner up, I pay for it. We don't have separate meters, which I definitely should have separate meters. But anyway. But it's the communication thing that I'm having a major issue with that I can't seem to break.
Well, then you two need to set yourselves a meeting and let him know that this is what you guys need to talk about at said meeting, and then be adults and talk. And don't get up from the table until you're done talking. It's that simple. Like, and it's back to all this other. It's easy for people to get defensive and passive aggressive, and that does nothing for anybody. It just makes the situations more tense and worse, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, just sit down.
We've had 2 sit-down meetings so far.
Okay. About communication?
Yes. And it still happens. To the point where I was that close to just saying, fuck it. I got 30 days that I have to give a notice to and running the food truck back full time again.
Are you happy in this spot aside from the landlord issues?
Yes.
Okay. Then you make yourself a contract and you let him know. He says, let him know that you are very happy with the location, that you want to stay here. But with this other stuff that is happening, it makes it not worthwhile. Here's what I need to take place in order for me to stay here. And if we can't do these things, then I'm going to waive my 30 days notice that I give you. This is what needs to happen. This needs to be what our working relationship needs to look like. And have him sign it. And if he can't agree to sign it, then yes, start looking for a new spot.
Well, yeah.
Or whatever.
The question that I asked myself was, if I do that so new into being here, am I ruining my reputation?
No, you're standing up for your reputation.
Well, I'm not going to go blast him on Facebook or whatever and tell everybody he's the reason I'm moving.
That's fine. You don't have to. I'm not saying do that, but you're standing up for your reputation as a business owner in the community. That you're not just going to be pushed around and deal with crap that isn't right. You don't have to give reasons or anything, but there's still a business community. You're thinking about your customers versus more just the overall community that you're in.
True. Yeah, no, that's true.
Stand up for yourself and your employees.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. Like, I don't want that guy to leave. He's been a freaking blessing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I understand that there's still stuff that we have to work on. Yeah. All right. Makes sense.
And your staff needs to understand that cameras are just going to be a part of the thing. And
yeah, it's absolutely there.
Yeah.
That's not going to change.
It's not like this is new.
Do I have any right and or standing to say anything to his employees about, hey, if you see something out of the ordinary, can you please tell me?
I mean, you can't make them, obviously, but yeah, you let them know. Like, hey, if you see something weird, let me know. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's my number. I'd like to get this. Yeah.
My number is posted. They all have it.
Like, I'd like to get it corrected. I'd like to get issues corrected quickly versus having them fester. Jason, again, I agree with Josh. That's it. I agree with Josh.
Yeah.
You need to hash things out before it gets really bad and he plays the landlord card and locks you out or does something stupid that really screws you. Be the bigger man. Don't let anyone hold your brand down. Only you will fight for you. So.
Yep.
This is why you don't get tips.
Shit.
Because you get to deal with all the joys of business ownership.
Yeah. No, I think I understand the tip thing a little bit more, so I think I'm good with that.
Okay. Good.
I can work around it.
Skippy, the first couple of years I was there with you, like when it was just me and Chris, yeah, I mean, especially when we're not doing sales, we did 117,000 our first full-time year during COVID. And just so we're all clear, we had an event, I think 2 years ago. It was a golf outing for Hudsonville football team, and they tipped us $600 for the 2 hours we were there. And Chris says, "Here, please take some of this because I don't feel right having it." And I'm like, it's up to you, but you don't have to do it. And I think I took my half and I think I donated it to the Hudsonville football team, their fundraiser. So, yeah, but there has been a couple days where, tips are just dumb and they make the decision, If someone's going to hand me $100, I'm not going to turn it down. But at no point in time is that ever a joke I even make.
No.
Because that gets you to the point where you're manipulating the situation, where you say, must be nice to have that $400 in cash tips today, because the psychology of that is, my boss thinks I made too much in cash tips and he doesn't get any, so maybe I should give him some. And that's where you can get yourself into trouble. And there has been plenty of companies that have gotten in a whole lot of trouble for mismanagement of tips.
Oh, yeah. I'm not, I understand.
So, and size of the company doesn't matter. Just keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. So Applebee's can handle the $50,000 fine and paying back, $100,000 in tips. You can't handle the $10,000 in fines. So, or whatever it would be. So, yeah. Yeah. All right. Good show,
Sounds
everybody.
fun.
Can't wait for what Skippy has next week. The hot button items.
We'll probably have a team meeting this week to discuss all of this and have everything out in the open, so we can move forward. And hopefully my morning employee will show up on Wednesday.
Are you going to have your alarm set? Oh, you should see this is why I like having my keypad. I have a keypad for my garage door with a little camera in it. So if I'm ever worried, I just kind of wake up at 3:00 just to make sure his car's in the driveway. Okay, he's there. I'm going to go back to sleep.
Do you have a chain drive or a belt drive garage door opener?
It's a chain.
Okay. I didn't know how loud it was.
It's a new house. It's not super loud.
So I have a chain drive over mine, and when I was doing stuff at my house for the food truck, I'd open my garage door, which is right above my bedroom. So my wife was like, "I know when you're getting up."
No, I do not hear the garage door opening. From my bedroom, though, occasionally, I'll hear doors slamming on the trailer and stuff. It's like, God, I don't now understand what my neighbors were complaining about the doors slamming. It's not loud, but it's you hear the thud. Well,
especially if you end up in the wintertime when you probably or at some point when you turn the hood on.
Yeah.
It just sucks the door shut.
Yeah, if you don't catch it real quick, it's like a bam. Yeah, at 4:00 in the morning, it's pretty loud. Could be startling for some people.
Very much so.
All right, everybody. That's our show. Thanks for listening.
Joining us.
We will be back next week, I believe. I don't see any reason why not. So same great place, same stupid faces, same mediocre content. Skippy, anything else?
No. Wish me luck.
Bye-bye, everybody.